Hype can be a tricky thing. It's quick to grow, don't you know? But if one is late to the show, the expectations that the hype created can sink the experience faster than Game of Thrones Season 8 sunk Benioff and Weiss's chance of ever stepping within 500 feet of the Lucasfilm lot. In rare cases, the hype undersells the project, and it's even better than you could have ever imagined. But which category does Expedition 33 fall into? Well, one thing's for goddamn sure. If nothing else, I know exactly how you're supposed to pronounce the franchise title now. You probably have no idea what I'm about to say next, do you? Was the game disappointing because of its hype, as the preamble might lead you to believe? Did he love it and think it deserves its hype? Is there a but coming? Tell me! Expedition 33 is really good. I really liked it. But, there's that but, it's not perfect. And Expedition 33 has been so hyped this year that I went in with the unfair expectation that it was going to be perfect, or at least close to it. So I have a bullet list of niggling gripes that mostly aren't super big deals. Some of them bother me rather a lot personally, but I expect a lot of other people will be able to forgive them more completely than I could. Anyways, let's speed run the negatives so that we can get to praising the game, which it so richly deserves. Before we continue, don't let that like button fall, or the subscribe button fall, without hitting it first. Also comment below death to Kronos, or wait, death to the Paintress. Got my 2025 revenge game wires crossed there. I've heard a lot of people really brush over this first issue that I had with the game, and I'm a little surprised it doesn't bother anyone else as much as it does me. But in many cases throughout the game, the lip syncing is just bad. During the first few hours, I was like, oh, the lip syncing is off when there's an in-game cutscene, but then it smooths out during the fully produced cutscenes. But as I kept playing, nope. There are plenty of lip syncing issues in both categories.
Hard to believe we're finally here.
Can't you see they're human?
And all for naught. We disagreed on pretty much everything.
We all have scars that won't heal, don't we?
So then I thought to myself, well, this is a French game, so maybe it's synced up properly if you play in French. And I considered switching to French for a second, but then I thought, if I do that, then what's the point of Sandfall hiring Charlie Cox and Andy Serkis to perform the English version of those characters? Caught in this quagmire, as any sane man would do, I took to the internet to see if anyone else had this problem. And turns out, the language makes not one bit of difference. Lip syncing is not ship-shape across the board. Now, what's my big problem with that? Well, in a game that, without spoiling anything, rather heavily relies on the performances for each character to sell its more important emotional beats, any sort of uncanny valley awkwardness in the cutscenes is at the very least going to distract me, and at the very worst, rip me totally out of the moment. Thankfully, the more I played it, the more I got used to it, but I never ever stopped noticing it. So it's a definite negative mark for me. Also, Lune's smile, it just creeps me out. It fucking reminds me of that. Have you ever seen that one AI channel on YouTube? I'll put some footage up on the screen so you can see it, but the way she moves her mouth and shows her teeth, it looks the same, doesn't it? Another point that people praise this game to no end for is the writing. Let me be clear though here, I think the premise, the world that's been built, the way that the world's features are presented to us, all of that is actually handled beautifully, and the writing for the most part generally is handled well. But there were multiple occasions during a cutscene that I knew the game wanted me to shed a tear or feel a strong love, sympathy, or otherwise squishy feeling towards a character that just fell totally flat, and it had to do with the way that they were written and how the characters were interacting with each other. These instances just felt really saccharine and cheesy to me. I do realize this is very subjective, but I do not think the game's writing is as imperviously peak as many people seem to think it is. There's also a decent amount of platforming in this game, and while it's not like pervasive or crammed down your throat the way that, say, the Plucky Squire crams its mediocre combat down your throat, the platforming in Expedition 33 was frequent enough to be an annoyance. To be quite frank, it kind of sucks. The on-rails platforming where characters climb, it just looks weird and stilted, so it doesn't even serve as an epic like break and pace the way that God of War's climbing sections did. And then when you actually are set free and you need to jump from floating island to floating island, it's very unsmooth and very not fun. I wish they'd just done away with it, to be honest. I'm fine with the grapple hook stuff because I think it's animated well and it works and makes me feel cool and happy inside. But the rest left me feeling like they definitely wanted to do more with it, but maybe just didn't have the time. Lastly, there are people that have complained about the importance of parrying in this game and how it turns what would be a strategic combat system into basically just another action game, but I actually don't agree with those complaints. And this is where we segue into what I liked and loved about this game. See, I never played a JRPG, in large part because I didn't much like the look of turn-based combat. And there is some precedence for this actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I was a massive Star Wars fan when I was a kid, and one day my uncle tried to get me to pick up Knights of the Old Republic, which should have been a slam dunk for me. But when I tried out that combat for the first time, I fucking hated it. So for the longest time, that was my only experience with turn-based combat, and I figured I just didn't like it. But then Expedition 33 comes along, and the turn-based combat is incredibly flashy, and the UI is beautiful, and what's this? You can parry? You can dodge? What this does is it turns the sections of turn-based combat where it's like, okay, let's get this over with, go ahead and hit me, I can't do fucking shit, into, okay, now it's time for me to play defense. And you still get the strategy, because if you don't build these characters and choose their pictos carefully, and choose their luminas carefully, and then get the sequence of their moves right during the encounters, some of these bosses are just gonna rip you the fuck up. So now you've got the strategic offensive half of the combat, and it's done really well here, and you have this new skill-based defensive half of the combat, and I think it works really well for engagement. So in short, I am a lover of Expedition 33's combat. I think it's really, really well done, and it effectively brought me into the turn-based believer camp. Well, I'm at least no longer a turn-based atheist. I'm turn-based curious now. How about that? The music and artwork in Expedition 33 is also pretty staggering. I can't tell you how many times I started doing the cool slow-mo walk just so I could drink in the scenery while some kind of epic track played in the background. Married with the implications of where we were in the world and why and what we were doing and what we stood to lose if we failed, the game got me to buy into its scenario pretty hard. And I found myself having many, many moments of gamer bliss as I explored the continent. It's a unique feeling that I've only ever got from a handful of games. God of War 2018, the Arkham series, The Witcher 3, Mass Effect, but you know it when you feel it because it just feels epic. So, though it may have its flaws, and though it may have its kind of obnoxious fans that treat it like the literal second coming of Christ, I'd say that, warts and all, Expedition 33 deserves its hype. Be advised, it's not perfect. Don't go into this game thinking that it is, but do go in prepared for something rather special. Moving on to our verdicts. The first is our traditional difficulty score based on naughty cuss words that we said while playing when mommy wasn't looking. The scale has Buddy at the low end, Motherfucker at the high end, and Expedition 33 earns itself an above average difficulty score of Asshole Plus. You can make it much harder on yourself by attacking things you're underleveled for, but if you play the game as intended, you won't get too pissed off, but there are some really tough bosses, and I found it fun, engaging, the right kind of difficult. As for our backlog scale, we have Take the Next Exit, which is to say take this game off your backlog at the low end, and Fast Track, which is to say play this game ASAP at the high end. Expedition 33 is a strong fast track. There are games that I play that I like or really like but don't love, and me not loving them has nothing to do with any objective or technical flaws, and it has everything to do with my personal taste. Then there are games with technical flaws or other major shortcomings that, despite them not being perfect, I still walked away loving them. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is the newest member of this club for me. Go out and play it. And remember that in real life, whenever you're writing in your journal or diary at night, to sign off with an overly dramatic
"For those who come after,